Today, we are going through each NFL team and finding out how many Hall of Famers are on their roster. The tiers are here. 0, meaning no guys on their team are going to make the Hall of Fame. 1, 2, 3 to 4, and then 5 plus. So, it's going to be interesting to see where these teams rack up in terms of how many Hall of Famers they have. But we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. I think they have one future Hall of Famer, and that would be Marvin Harrison Jr. I know we haven't seen him play a ton. He didn't have the best rookie season, but he didn't play bad. I think he's only going to improve, and I also could argue for Trey McBride, but I don't think he's going to be good enough for the Hall of Fame. That's what makes this challenge hard, is the younger guys. I am kind of projecting where I think younger guys will rank all the time. I think Marvin Harrison is going to be one of the top 20 receivers of all time. I know after his first year that's a lot to say, but I think he can follow in the footsteps of his dad. And besides him, I don't think there's any other Hall of Famers on that team. Now we have Atlanta. Now, is Kirk Cousins a Hall of Famer? I don't think so. I think Bijan has the potential to get in. Drake London, I don't think will. Chris Lindstrom, their guard, has a chance of getting in. Defensively, I can't think of anyone. So I'm also going to say 1 for Bijan Robinson, because I think by the end of his career, he will be one of the top running backs of all time. I don't know about top 5 or 10, but I think he can be top 20, top 15. That should be enough to get you into the Hall of Fame. Now we have the Ravens. The question is how many? I think Lamar gets in. I think Derrick Henry is already a certified lock. He doesn't have to do anything else to get in. The question is there more? I think so. Roquan Smith should be a Hall of Famer. That's 3. I'm thinking of Kyle Hamilton as well. I think he will be a future Hall of Famer. He's one of the best safeties. Super young. He's only going to get better. So I have him as a Hall of Famer. That's 4. Can I find a 5th one on the team? Ronnie Stanley, no. Mark Andrews, no. I think I'm going to stop it at 4. They used to have Calais Campbell at the end of his career, and that would have counted. You know, an old veteran that's not as good, but still is going to make the Hall of Fame. Definitely counts for this challenge. So the Ravens get 4, which is by far the highest total we have so far. But will anyone beat them? We'll find out. The Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen is a future Hall of Famer. No running backs, no receivers, no tight ends, no O-linemen I can think of. Defensively, Tre'Davious White, no. Matt Milano is too injury prone. I think they only have one Hall of Famer, and that is Josh Allen. This team is mainly built from Josh Allen. They're not bad. It's a lot of great players that are just not going to be anywhere near great enough to be Hall of Fame worthy. But Josh Allen is the heart and soul of this team, and he's one of the best QBs, already won an MVP. He'll get in. The Panthers, I don't know if the Panthers have any. Bryce Young is not on Hall of Fame pace. I think that's pretty clear. But Adam Thielen is like the hardest debate. I can't say he's going to be a Hall of Famer. You could argue J.C. Horn, but the NFL Hall of Fame is a lot more strict than the NFL. Than the NBA Hall of Fame. So I'm going to say 0 for the Panthers. Now we have the Bears. Caleb definitely has Hall of Fame potential. You could argue Joe Thuney, the tackle. He has multiple Super Bowl rings, one of the best tackles, or guards, sorry. Multiple All-Pro appearances. Defensively, Jalen Johnson, if he can continue to get his accolades, get his stats, he might be able to. So I think between Caleb, Jalen Johnson, and Joe Thuney, I'm not going to say all 3 of those guys will, but I think at least one of them does get the nod. It could be just Caleb. It could be just Jalen Johnson. I'm not too sure. I'm going to say at least one. That might be glazed because I'm a Bears fan, but, well, it's my opinion. The Bengals, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Trey Hendrickson's not going to make the Hall of Fame. He's great, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. He just has not been dominant for long enough to be Hall of Fame worthy, and I think that's it. So, 2 Hall of Famers, first team in the tier of 2. The Cleveland Browns up next. Some people are going to say, oh, Shador's there. Guys, we haven't even seen him play yet. Myles Garrett, though, is for sure a Hall of Famer. Is Joe Flacco a Hall of Famer? Honestly, he might be. It's really close if Joe Flacco gets in or not. I don't think he will. I just don't think he was a top 5 QB for long enough in the NFL to be a Hall of Famer. So we have Myles Garrett. No one else on offense. Maybe Nick Chubb could have, but he's not on the team anymore. So I'm going to say 1 for Cleveland. The Dallas Cowboys are up next. Dak Prescott, no. CeeDee Lamb, I think, will get in. You know, he's a top 3 receiver in the NFL right now. He will continue to be a top 5, top 3 receiver. He had a season where he was like the best guy in the league. That was 2023, I want to say. Micah Parsons is also on the Hall of Fame pace, so we can give him the nod. That's 2. They used to have multiple Hall of Fame linemen. They had Zach Martin and what's his name? Smith, Tyler Smith or Tyron Smith, sorry. But I think that's going to be 2. CeeDee and Micah Parsons. I don't think anyone else on that team has a chance of getting in. Now we have the Denver Broncos. I think Sean Payton will be a Hall of Fame head coach. But in terms of their team, this might be 0. Bo Nix is not. No receivers, no running backs. Quinn Miners, the O-lineman, no. He's not good enough to be Hall of Fame consideration. Defensively, Patrick Surtain. What am I talking about? That's a free Hall of Fame lock. And anybody else on that team? I can't think of anybody right now. Not Dre Greenlaw, not Hufanga. Yeah, that's going to be 1 Hall of Famer for Denver. Detroit is interesting because Jared Goff is not. The running backs, not Montgomery, but Gibbs. Gibbs needs more carries. It's really hard to say. I don't think Amon-Ra is Hall of Fame. I think Penei Sewell is Hall of Fame. So that's 2. On defense, they have Brian Branch. Is he Hall of Fame? He's honestly, he's still very young, but with how he's playing, he might get there. Hutchinson, too. I'm going to say 2 for the Lions because I think it can be Penei Sewell and Aiden Hutchinson. Jahmyr Gibbs, I want to say he will be a Hall of Famer. We just haven't seen enough of him yet. I think we've seen more Bijan production than Jahmyr Gibbs, so I'm able to say Bijan has the future of being a Hall of Famer. We just need to see more Jahmyr Gibbs, so I'm going to say 2. Green Bay has, I think, nobody. McKinney, no. Not Jordan Love. Not Josh Jacobs. Receivers, no. Used to have Bakhtiari. Used to have Jair Alexander. I'm going to say 0. 0 for Green Bay. I don't think that's a crazy take. Maybe Josh Jacobs, but he'd have to be dominant for the next 5+ seasons. And I don't think that's going to happen. The Texans, CJ Stroud, is he going to be Hall of Fame? Maybe. Nico Collins right now is borderline. I don't think he's going to get there. Kind of similar to Amon-Ra. Great receiver, just not going to be great enough to be Hall of Fame. Defensively, maybe Will Anderson. Maybe Derek Stingley. I think CJ Stroud will get the nod. I know it's way too early to say that. But CJ Stroud, if he can continue to win these playoff games that he has been, and he can continue to be top 10, top 5 QB in the NFL, I think I can give CJ Stroud the nod. And I think I can give Derek Stingley the nod too. So that's 2 for the Texans. The Colts, I don't think have anybody. Quentin Nelson. That's 1. No receiver. QB, no. Running back. Jonathan Taylor, I don't think is going to get in. Defensively, DeForest Buckner is not going to get in. Yeah, it's going to be 1 for the Colts. The Jaguars, Brian Thomas Jr. Do I give him the nod? I don't know. Josh Hines-Allen, Halla, very good for him, but not Hall of Fame. No one else on defense to talk about. O-line, maybe Brandon Sheriff. Travis Hunter, we haven't seen him play yet. Um, should I give it to Brian Thomas? I'm gonna say 0. We need to see another year of Brian Thomas before I give him Hall of Fame. The Chiefs are up next, and I feel like this might be 5 plus because Patrick Mahomes is gonna get in. Travis Kelce is gonna get in. I think Creed Humphrey, the center, is gonna get in. That's 3. I think Chris Jones is gonna get in. And I think Trent McDuffie is going to get in too. So that's our first 5 plus. You can make an argument for their lineman Tyler Smith as well. He could get in. So they could honestly have 6, maybe more than that. I'm going to stop it at 5 though for Kansas City. The Chargers, Herbert, he's going to be, I don't know, it's tough to say for Herbert because his stats I don't think are going to be, dominant anymore with Jim Harbaugh as his coach. If he can win some more, then maybe it'd be different. But for now, I can't say he's Hall of Fame. No running back, no receiver. O-lineman, honestly, I'm going to say Joe Alt's a future Hall of Famer. One of the best tackles in the NFL already after only 1 season. I'm going to say no to Rashawn Slater. And defensively, Khalil Mack will get in. So that's 2. No more Joey Bosa. I don't think Derwin James gets in. So what is that, 2? Khalil Mack, Joel. Okay, 2 for the Chargers. Not bad. The Rams might be 3 or 4 because Matthew Stafford is for sure a Hall of Famer. You have Devontae Adams, who I think is a Hall of Famer. I think Puka Nacua is on the projection to be a Hall of Famer, so that's 3. Defensively, I can't say Jared Verse yet. It's too early. If they traded for Jalen Ramsey, they would be up another one, but they didn't, so forget about that. No one else on defense that I can really think of right now that has a shot. O-line, can't really think of anybody. So Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Puka, 3. Welcome to the 3-4 club with Baltimore, LA. The Raiders, Brock Bowers is 1. Brock Bowers is for sure 1. Max Crosby, is he gonna get in? I don't know. That's tough. You know what? For the sake of the video, let's say Max Crosby gets in. That's 2 Hall of Famers for the Raiders. So good for you, Las Vegas. The Dolphins, I think Tyreek gets in. And I think that's it. No running back I can think of. QB no. O-lineman. You just lost Teron Armstead, so that doesn't count. And the defense, you do have Minka. Is Minka Hall of Fame worthy? I don't think Minka's Hall of Fame. So that's 1 Hall of Famer for the Dolphins. Now we have the Minnesota Vikings. This could be a decent number. So you have Justin Jefferson. That's easy. I don't think TJ Hawkinson gets it. O-lineman, nobody. It's obviously way too early for JJ McCarthy. Defensively, can't think of anybody right now. No one on the line. Oh, Harrison Smith. I honestly see Harrison Smith getting in. He's not going to be a first ballot, but one day he will get in. So that's 2. Yeah, it ends at 2 for the Minnesota Vikings. The Patriots, too early to say on Drake May. I know I gave Caleb, so you think, oh, give it to Drake May too. Caleb is a way higher talent than Drake May. So that's my argument. Stephon Diggs is not going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't really care what anyone says about that. Diggs is not a Hall of Famer in my eyes. And anybody else? No O-lineman, defense. I don't see anyone. So I'm going to say 0 for the Patriots. That's one of the few zeros in the video. The Saints are up next. It might be another 0. Wait. I think Cameron Jordan honestly can get in. The D-lineman. Tyrann Mathieu is going to come up short. No O-lineman. Demario Davis, you can make the argument for. I don't think he is going to be good enough to get into the Hall of Fame. Chris Olave is too injury prone. Kamara's a tough one, but I'm going to say he doesn't get in. So that would be 1 Hall of Famer for the Saints. If you don't think it's Cameron Jordan, you could replace him with like Kamara or Tyrann Mathieu. I just think out of those 3, Cameron Jordan has by far the best chance of getting in. The Giants Malik Neighbors, if I gave it to Marvin Harrison Jr., I have to give it to Malik Neighbors after one season. I know I said no to Brian Thomas, but I think that's kind of his ceiling. I think he's going to continue to stay at that level, but I think Marvin Harrison and Malik are going to get even better. So I'm going to say Malik is 1. Dexter Lawrence? Maybe. Honestly, Dexter Lawrence was on Defensive Player of the Year pace before he got injured for the rest of the season. So I'll say Dexter Lawrence as 2. Abdul Carter, I can't give any pure rookies a chance because we haven't seen them play yet. So it's going to stay at 2 and nobody else. So 2 for the Giants. That's honestly more than I thought it'd be. The Jets, Fields, no. No receivers. Do they have Tyron Smith? I don't think they do. I think he retired. They had him and Jason Peters at one point. 2 of the oldest linemen in the NFL. Defensively, Quentin Williams, I don't think he's the level of Dexter Lawrence, so we're going to say no. Honestly, I think Sauce Gardner gets in. I do think he gets the nod. So I'm going to say 1 for the Jets. Let me know if I'm forgetting anyone in the comments. The Eagles. Who on the Eagles can be Hall of Fame? Let's think. Saquon Barkley. I don't think A.J. Brown. I don't think Jalen Hurts. Lane Johnson. Jordan Mailata, too. I mean, if you're going to say linemen, the Eagles have 2 offensive linemen that are Hall of Fame bound, in Mailata and Lane Johnson. So that's 3. Move over to defense. Cooper DeJean, I love him, but we can't give him Hall of Fame yet. Same thing with Quinyon Mitchell. Maybe Jalen Carter, but I feel like that's a bit of a stretch as of now. Anybody else? I can't think of anyone because Brandon Graham is retired. All their old veterans are retired by now. So I'm going to say that was 3 for the Eagles. The Steelers is going to be high, I can tell you that much. Because Rodgers, Hall of Fame, easiest Hall of Famer on this entire list. We have Jalen Ramsey, who I think is a Hall of Fame cornerback. That's 2. Anybody else? Who's coming to my mind right now? Not DK Metcalf. TJ Watt, yeah. TJ Watt's going to get in. That's 3. Anybody else? Highsmith, no. Cameron Hayward, is he Hall of Fame? He was really good for a long time, but he wasn't Hall of Fame. I can't say he's Hall of Fame. And anyone else on offense? No. So that's 3 for the Steelers because we had Rodgers, we had Jalen Ramsey, and we had... Who was the third guy we had? TJ Watt, yeah. The Seahawks, Sam Darnold, no. No receivers. Or Cooper Kupp. That's tough. Is Cooper Kupp a Hall of Famer? No. He's kind of similar to Julian Edelman, but he did have that historic season, so that kind of makes me lean closer to yes, but I'm going to say no. Any defensive players? I can't think of anybody on the Seahawks who would make the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to say 0 for Seattle. San Francisco, Christian McCaffrey. It's tough, but I do think he gets in. Same thing with George Kittle. I'm going to be overestimating a bit throughout this entire video. I'm giving people who are 50-50 the nod just because, I don't want to see everyone in 0-0-1-1. I think you guys understand that, but McCaffrey, Kittle, Trent Williams, that's 3. Anybody else? Nick Bosa. I think Fred Warner gets in. He's been the best linebacker in the league for a minute now. So Fred Warner, that's 4. No Brandon Ayuk. The question is Nick Bosa. And I'm going to say yes. They get 5 Hall of Famers matching Kansas City's. This team is just really talented. Kyle Juszczyk too. So even if you don't want to say Fred Warner, they still get 5. And if you do count Nick Bosa, sorry, not Fred Warner. So I honestly think they pass Kansas City for most Hall of Famers on a team. So shout out San Francisco. Now we have Tampa Bay. I think Mike Evans. I want to say Bucky Irving, but it's too early for that. Mike Evans and maybe Antoine Winfield. Maybe Vita Vea. Maybe Levante David. Ooh. Levante David might get in. No, I can't say that. I can't say Levante gets in. Or Tristan Wirfs. Yeah, I'm gonna go to. I think for Tristan Wirfs and Mike Evans. I can't say Levante David or Winfield or Vita Vea. I just can't. And two teams left. We have the Tennessee Titans. Who's on the Titans anymore? I'm obviously not Cam Ward. Running back, no. Receiver, no. O-line, no. Defense. I don't think there's anybody on Tennessee. You could argue Jeffrey Simmons, but I don't think he's good enough to get in the Hall of Fame. And finally, the Commanders. If I gave it to Caleb, I have to give it to Jaden Daniels too, so that's one. Terry McLaurin's great, don't get me wrong. He's not Hall of Fame. Defensively, Jonathan Allen, no. Ooh, Bobby Wagner, that's a good poll. So that'd be 2 Hall of Famers for the Commanders. Do we think Zach Ertz gets in? I don't think he was dominant for long enough. So I'm going to say no to Zach Ertz. They did trade for Laramie Tunsil, who can also be debated for Hall of Fame. I'm going to say no to him too. So that is 2 Hall of Famers for the Commanders. So, quick recap for you guys. The teams with the most Hall of Famers are the 49ers, followed by the Chiefs, and then the Ravens, the Eagles, the Rams, and the Steelers. The teams with 0, the Panthers, the Packers, the Jaguars, the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Titans. And then a lot of teams that are in that 1 to 2 range. But that is just my opinion. If you guys agree, disagree, let me know in the comments. I'm willing to talk to you guys about what you would change with this list. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out another video. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.